to include the date and time for the appearance. And I know it's an All right, good morning, everyone. The court will call State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. May I have the appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Sue Upper, Leslie Basie, and Zach Witchow, all appearing for the State of Wisconsin.
All right, sir, please state your name for the record.
I am here as a third-party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value in return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments.
All right, the record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell E. Brooks appears in person and in custody. He is in street clothing today in a suit and tie, also wearing a mask. I checked with Mr. Brooks before calling the case if he had any documentation to provide to the court or to the state. I did look at a number of subpoenas. I told him I would be able to look at those for completeness. And the one thing I noted was that there was a date and time for the appearance that was not included. And so I just wanted to address that on the record. Since, of course, this is a multi-day, multi-week trial, typically individuals, whether it be the state or a defendant, would put the first day of trial on the subpoena unless there was some other information to suggest a different date. Obviously, we've already started, but I can ask the state if they, given kind of how things have been proceeding thus far, I know originally you had thought it would take 5 to 7 days for you to present your case in chief. Are we still on target for that from when we started the taking of testimony?
Yes, from when we started the taking of testimony, yes. Right now we are projected to wrap up our case Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. So that would be within that 5 to 7 day range, Your Honor.
All right. Certainly would be reasonable if you picked a date, either Thursday or Friday, if they show up, which presumably they would, right, if we're able to get all of these, not me, but if the state's able to assist, given what they've said earlier in getting the subpoenas out, then even if we weren't quite to that point, I can certainly bring people in and let them know when to come back, and that's pretty typical.
So, Your Honor, just so I'm clear, should I put, so that would be roughly the 13th to 14th?
Today's the 10th, so Thursday would be the 13th and Friday would be the 14th. And then I didn't look very close to the names and whether you had addresses, but you should put in their last known address or other information as to where these people can be served if you know.
I was going to mention that too. That's kind of problematic because a lot of them, their addresses are not stated in the paperwork. So I don't
Are
know.
all of these individuals referenced in the paperwork that you've reviewed?
Yes, they are.
All right. Presumably then, Attorney Opper, you'd be able to look at that and perhaps assist with that information?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, everyone's address is somewhere in the paperwork. But yes, I'm sure we will be able to find addresses.
The other omission I noted, and not necessarily your fault, is these were stamped by our clerk of court, which is standard. I will direct my clerk with your approval to put today's date for the date that these are all signed by the clerk of court's office, okay? Is that a yes? I thought I saw you shake your head yes. I just want to confirm for the record. Okay.
I mean, it's just a lot of this that I expressed last week that I wasn't really sure how to get done. So whatever assistance is greatly appreciated.
All right, so Madam Clerk is directed to put in at the top left, and then what I'll do is I'll keep a copy for the court's records, and then give you a copy, and then we'll give the originals to the state so they can look over them and then tell us if there's any issue with trying to get them served. But I need to get that to them this morning with your approval so they can let us know if there are any issues. Do you agree to that, sir?
Yeah, I just got to put the dates in then, correct?
Yes, yes. It would be fine if you did Friday morning. I mean, even if the state got done a little bit early on Thursday afternoon or something, and we, in theory, had time to call a witness, I'm happy to just go to the next morning so that it's clear.
What should I put for the time?
8:30. And then just let me know when you're done so I can address a couple of other issues. Do you have the preliminary jury instructions I can look at for a minute? Copies of those. If you tell me the number, I can also look that other thing up. I'll score if you give me the number so you can make the copies. 153? 150. All right, while Madam Clerk is copying those subpoenas so that the court has a copy, Mr. Brooks has a copy, and then the originals go to the state to review and assist with service, I do want to address Exhibit 6, which was previously received by the court. This is the 6-minute squad cam and audio footage from Officer Phillips. As I advised last week, after I went back into chambers to review that, I did note what Mr. Brooks had said. I may have been a little bit off on the language in terms of what Ms. Patterson is heard saying, but it's a pretty clear reference to one of the incidents that is the subject of a prohibition by this court related to other acts. And I indicated I was inclined to strike that exhibit, and so advise the jury, but I would give the parties an opportunity if they had any arguments on that to address that this morning. So since the state offered it and there is that violation, I'll turn to the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I do offer my apologies to the court and to Mr. Brooks, because the previous occasions where we had watched that video, we did not catch that. I think the record will speak for itself, but there was a lot going on in that video. As you had mentioned previously, the officer's radio was talking. You can hear the dispatcher, you can hear other officers, and you can hear some people talking in the distance as well. So we did mistakenly include that. However, that being said, Your Honor, I think it's a clear reference to the other acts only if you know there's other acts. Truthfully, I think it's a vague and ambiguous statement. What I heard the statement to have been at about the 2:52 mark in the recording, I heard Miss Patterson say, "Me and my baby daddy, we fight all the time. We had an incident, he ran me over with a car." That's what I heard her to say. She does not say it happened in Milwaukee. She does not say it happened 3 weeks ago. She does not say I suffered a broken leg. To me, in the context of Miss Runkle's testimony last week, in which she testified that Mr. Brooks had swerved at Erica Patterson, and that Miss Runkle had pulled her out of the way, I don't think the jury would have immediately thought Erica Patterson, when she made that statement, if they heard it, was referring to something weeks earlier in another county at another location. Really, the only thing objectionable about that whole quote I just issued would be the very last phrase, "He ran me over with a car." And again, if she's referring to the Milwaukee incident, it's not clear from that statement. I certainly understand, with the knowledge of the Milwaukee incident, there's a reasonable interpretation that's what she was talking about, but she may also have been talking about the events of November 21st, even to an objective standard on this record, Your Honor. I don't think the jury would have realized or appreciated she was talking about another incident. So I think the exhibit can stand as is. We could redact just about a 2 or 3 second audio from that recording where those words are removed, and I listened to it several times over the weekend. I think if we did that, it would not be that obvious, so that the exhibit could stand in place. The officer, if you recall, the timing is he's getting out of his car and he's approaching them, and she makes that statement about "he ran me over with a car," but then her very next sentence is, "There's nothing happened, nothing's going on, nothing to be worried about here." And she's essentially trying to convince the officer not to do anything. So again, I think that also supports our contention that if we strike the exhibit, or we strike words from the exhibit, we may be calling undue attention to something that was very vanilla to this jury, that they really wouldn't have thought twice about, given the testimony of Corey Runkle and Erica Patterson that was already on the record. So we would offer to redact that portion if appropriate, but it may also be appropriate just to leave it stand as is. And should they ever ask to see that exhibit again, we would prevent that from being played a second time.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you have a position on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious to me. I can only hear out of one ear, and I was able to hear clearly what was said. With all due respect, Your Honor, you made a ruling about this previously, in ample enough time before the trial even started. You made the ruling. I see no reason why the exhibit should be admitted into evidence. From my perspective, it's clearly obvious what was being referenced. I mean, if she was able to give any type of statement at that time to the officer, then obviously she wasn't hit at that time on that date on the 21st. She would clearly be referencing some other incident. Hence the reason why we argue all the time in this, that, and the third. It was clear to me what was being referenced, and because of the ruling, because of the implication in that statement, I believe the exhibit should be striked altogether.
Thank you for your position, Mr. Brooks. And the reason why last week I said I'm inclined to strike it, but I wanted to give the parties an opportunity to review it over the weekend is, in some respects, because of what the state just said. There's information on that clip, at least from Ms. Patterson, that I didn't know if you wanted to come in or not, about nothing happened here, right? Those types of statements. So that's why I give the parties a chance to look it over and then come back to court and tell me what they want to do. So your position has been made clear. You believe it should be struck or stricken, as we say. And I agree with you, Mr. Brooks. This court gave a very clear prior ruling related to other acts, and the state had an obligation to abide by that ruling. While I have options available to me, meaning I could redact it if the jury wants to hear it later on, my concern with redaction is it may possibly highlight that portion. We don't know whether any one of these jurors heard it and made a note about it. And that's certainly not something I'm going to ask them to reveal. And because of the violation, and even though there's other things going on, even though I could redact, I am going to strike this exhibit and so advise the jury. As far as advising the jury, I simply want to tell them the following when they come into court today. As previously the court received Exhibit 6 during the testimony of Officer Phillips. The jury is hereby advised that the court has stricken this exhibit, and the jury is to disregard anything it may have heard regarding what was on that exhibit. Any objection to that language from the state?
No.
How about from you, Mr. Brooks?
No.
All right, then, I know last week I also had indicated I had asked the Sheriff's Department to prepare an incident report regarding one of the occasions Mr. Brooks was removed from the courtroom. I've been advised it's been dictated and I believe written. I haven't seen it yet, but I did follow up on that this morning. I believe I'll have it at some point today, and we'll turn that over to the parties.
In reference to the 6th, Thursday, October the 6th.
That was in reference to the incident where, if my memory is correct, where there was not about the COVID test, but about the needing you to sit down so that, I don't remember if you were over there or here or what, but they needed to get those restraints either on or off so that you could be situated, and that's where you had indicated you had been hurt. So that's what I'm talking about. I wanted to have a record of that here.
I think that was the 6th. I also want to state for the record that I was given paperwork to fill out a report of my own, and I stressed that because after the detectives came and took the pictures of my bruises and injuries, I was told that they didn't know when I would actually get the actual filing of the report that they were gonna report. So I just went ahead and asked for my own. I filled that out. I don't know if it's been given to the right parties yet.
You're talking about the inmate complaint form to have the either the jail or the sheriff's department review that related to the use of force.
Yeah, it was the top paper was from the sheriff.
All right, you know that that's not my responsibility to address what happened other than how it impacts this trial, which is why okay. All right, I didn't have anything else on my list of things. I don't know if the state does or Mr. Brooks, so I will ask the state first if there's anything you believe I should address prior to the jury coming back out.
Yes, Your Honor, I would ask that some of the witnesses that testified last week be released from their subpoenas, especially now that we have Mr. Brooks' witness list. Specifically, I'd be referring to Corey Runkle, Officer Phillips, Kyle Edwards, Holly Berg. I note on his list today he does still have Erica Patterson and Detective Guth. At some point, we'd like to be heard about that, but we don't need to delay the jury at this point.
All right, any position on their request, Mr. Brooks?
I guess my objection to that would be Officer Phillips. That would be one that I would still like to be under subpoena. Everybody else is I'm fine with.
That's the officer whose squad video I just struck. So you didn't have him in your subpoenas. So you'll need to, for now I'll tell the state they can't release him. You'll need to fill out a subpoena, and I need to have that by the lunch hour today in order for him not to be released from the state subpoena.
And I definitely don't want Erica Patterson released from.
Right, you have her on your subpoena, so I understand that.
I just wanted that for the record.
All right, thank you. All right, then I will grant the request from the state as to Corey Runkle, Kyle Edwards, and Holly Berg. For now, Officer Phillips will remain under the state subpoena along with Erica Patterson and Detective Guth. We can take issues up with that either, maybe closer to the lunch hour or when we come back, or even at the end of the day. But I would like to bring the jury out. But of course, Mr. Brooks, I need to turn to you first and see if there's any issues you believe the court should address.
Very briefly, I just want to state this for the record that I would like to issue the court an apology from me in regards to my actions last week during the trial. I just want the court to understand it's very emotional right now, not only for just the whole situation of the trial, the families here that have to go through, everything that's going to be involved with the trial, but also my family as well and myself is very, very emotional. But not to excuse my actions, I should carry myself with better respect than that. I wasn't raised that way. And I owe you, Your Honor, in the court an apology, and I'm going to stand up as a man and tell the whole court and you, Your Honor, that I apologize to the bailiffs, that I apologize for my actions. Like I said, that's not how I was raised. I come from a Christian background. My mother did not raise me that way. She did not raise me, to act out of frustration and irritation and anger. And I just wanted everybody to know that I apologize for my actions. And I'm going to try my best to, whatever happens, to conduct myself with respect and with respect to the court. And I just wanted y'all to know that the prosecution, judge, bailiffs, clerks, reporters, everybody, audience, everybody here. I just wanted y'all to know that.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I do appreciate that. Understandably so. This is an emotional experience, I think, for everyone involved. And I appreciate that you, upon reflection, have realized that courtesy and decorum are an important part of a court proceeding. I know that despite you being emotional at times and not being an attorney, you certainly, you're clearly paying attention. You've made some very salient points throughout the last few days. I think you're settling in quite well, and we're going to keep this trial going. I know you said earlier, and I just want to make a record of this because it's really important that I do this, sir. You've mentioned repeatedly about your hearing. I know you don't have the headphones on now. We'll give them to you just based on what I've observed this morning and how you've responded to things that have been said. I think you're hearing us. But if we haven't made the headphones available, we got to make sure we do that every single day so that if you need them. I do appreciate everything that you've said. And I know we have Detective Casey, who will bring up momentarily for your cross-examination, just so everyone is aware. It's my practice when there's a second day to also put the witness under oath again. So he'll at least be sitting up there when the jury comes in, and then I'll have Teresa put him under oath again.
Really quick.
Go ahead.
I don't want you to get mad with me, but I have to say it on the record. Will you be addressing my filings about the subject matter jurisdiction of the court?
I have addressed them previously, perhaps not to your satisfaction. I understand your objections. They're noted, and my previous rulings stand.
Would it be proven?
Sir, my previous rulings stand. That's how I'm going to address that, okay? All right, with that, we'll have the jury brought out. Dr. Casey, you can come up so that you're on the stand for cross right away as well.
solemnly swear that the testimony...
No, wait. Oh, wait, Jerry.
Oh, I thought you were doing that.
No, it's just standing because the jury's coming out.
That's okay.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. You can sit for a minute. I'll wait till our jurors have their notes ready. And good morning and welcome back. Hope you all had a very nice weekend. Previously, the court received Exhibit 6 during the testimony of Officer Phillips. The jury is hereby advised that the court has struck this exhibit. The jury is hereby advised to disregard anything it may have heard during the playing of Exhibit 6. With that, we have Detective Casey here for cross, as is my practice. When there's a second day, someone's on the witness stand, I am going to have him stand to be sworn in again by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated. And once again, for the record, state your first and last name.
Thomas Casey.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, this is your opportunity to question him.
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
So, how long have you been in law enforcement?
25 years.
Since a long time. I want to direct you to the evening of November 21st, 2021. You stated that you were on duty that afternoon, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall any disturbances that afternoon?
Do you mean when you drove through the parade routes and?
Your question was a little broad. Why don't you try to narrow down the time frame so he can answer that more specifically?
Roughly around the time of maybe 4:30-ish p.m.
Yes, I do.
Do you remember what you can recall?
Do I remember if I can recall?
Do you remember the disturbance you recall?
Yes, I do.
Would you state what that is? What that was, rather?
I heard a horn beeping, and then a Ford Escape came through the parade route, and you drove past me and wouldn't stop, and you continued driving into the parade route.
Who is you?
Darrell Brooks, the defendant, seated at the table.
Let the record reflect that I do not identify by that name, nor do I know anybody by that name.
Your objection is noted.
So, you heard a horn beeping.
Yes.
Was it coming from the vehicle that you tried to stop?
I believe that it was.
You stated that you've been in law enforcement for 25 years. That's a long time. So it would be fair to say that you operate a motor vehicle pretty much every day. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I operate a motor vehicle almost every day.
And would it be also fair to say that you would only beep your horn in a motor vehicle if you were trying to alert someone to your presence?
I think that could be a fair statement.
Would it be also fair that you would beep your horn to avoid any danger?
There could be many reasons why a person is beeping their horn.
Would one of those reasons be to avoid danger?
It could be, yes.
Do you recall if you were able to see who was operating the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Yes, I was.
And can you recall a description of the operator of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
He was light-skinned, black male. He had some light facial hair.
Is that all you recall?
That is what I recall.
Do you recall what they were wearing?
No, I do not.
So you were able to get a description of how the operator of the vehicle looked, but not what they were wearing?
That is correct.
Do you recall how fast the vehicle was going at the time you attempted to stop it?
I believe the vehicle was going about 3 to 5 miles an hour when I tried to stop the vehicle, and it continued on past me.
Would it be fair to say that 3 to 5 miles an hour is not very fast?
I think it's very fast when you're in a parade route, when there's hundreds of people marching in the road, and a police officer is standing in front of your car, pounding on the hood, trying to get the vehicle to stop. I'd say that that's too fast. Any speed is too fast on a parade route when you have all those people in the roadway. A car should not have been there.
That wasn't the question, but thanks for the commentary.
Detective Casey, please just answer his questions. Attorney Opper will have an opportunity to redirect if necessary.
Would it be fair to say that that's not a very fast speed?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
Do you recall if the operator of the vehicle that you gave a description of had any hair on their head?
I do not recall seeing the operator's hair that day.
So it would be fair to say you don't know if they had long hair, short hair, anything of that nature?
That is correct.
Do you recall testifying at the preliminary hearing in this matter?
Yes, I do.
Can you recall what you said when asked a description of the driver of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I don't recall word for word what I said.
Do you recall being asked the question?
I would think that I was, but I don't recall the exact words that I used then.
Just 1 second. Do you recall saying that the operator of the vehicle you attempted to stop had short hair and a short dark beard?
I'm not sure what the context is, but I don't recall saying that the person had short hair.
The context was the question of, did you get a description of the driver of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I guess I'm not sure when you're speaking of, because was that when I saw the car or when we saw the vehicle after what witnesses said? It seems like I'm not sure exactly the time period that
So
you're
are
asking.
we talking about what witnesses said or what you actually saw?
Correct, that's what I'm confused about.
Well, you just said that you recall being asked at the preliminary hearing that you testified at a description of the operator of the motor vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
I don't understand your question.
I think it's very clear. You testified at the preliminary hearing in this matter, correct?
Yes, I did.
And were you not asked a description of the operator of the motor vehicle that you attempted to stop?
So I believe my testimony was at the preliminary hearing that I did not see the person's hair, if that's the specific time that you're speaking of.
I have a portion of that preliminary hearing that you testified at with your words right here.
Mr. Brooks, what page are you at?
I am at page 17.
All right, thank you.
You were asked, could you see anybody inside the vehicle? Your answer was, at that point, I could not see the person real clearly, but as the vehicle continued pushing through me, I was paused. My position changed to the side of the vehicle where I was directly outside the driver's side window. And I could see inside of the window and I could see the driver very clearly. Would that be fair to say that those are your statements?
Yes, sir.
So, could you or could you not see the driver clearly?
Your question is if I could see him clearly. Yes, I could see him clearly.
So why would you state that you couldn't see him clearly when asked the question?
I think you're asking about his hair.
No, I asked about his hair before. This is a different question. I asked about that.
Could you ask your question again, please?
You just stated that you could see the driver clearly, correct?
Correct.
But you also said that you couldn't see the driver clearly, correct?
Objection, that's a misstatement.
Grounds.
So, Mr. Brooks, I think it comes down to a little bit of context. I'm going to sustain the objection, and then if you would please rephrase. I think it comes down to at what point in time in the contact with the SUV are you referring?
At any time.
Your Honor, we need the question again. That question is vague.
Right. Put it all together, if you would. I'll sustain the objection.
At any time, could you see the driver clearly? At any time during your attempt to stop the vehicle?
Yes, at any time I could see the person clearly that was driving.
The entire time you attempted to stop it, you can clearly see the driver of the vehicle?
Well, at one time you asked any time, and then you asked the entire time. So
Detective Casey, just answer the question, please, if you can. If not, say you don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
Just a second. Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone when you attempted to stop it?
No, I did not.
Did you see the vehicle strike anybody before it approached you?
No, I did not.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds of people present at the time that you attempted to stop the vehicle?
Yes, there were hundreds of people there.
And you saw no one struck by the vehicle?
That is correct.
Did you see if anyone else was, could you see rather, if anyone else was in the vehicle?
I did not see anybody else in the vehicle when it passed my location.
Do you recall there being any tinted windows to the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I do not recall the passenger front or the passenger rear being tinted. I believe that the rear windows on the SUV were tinted.
So it would be fair to say that from your vantage point, you wouldn't be able to see the entire seating of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection, that's a misstatement. Your Honor.
Grounds.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
Could you re-ask the question, please?
Would it be fair to say that because of the tint to the rear windows that you cannot visibly see the seating of the vehicle that you attempted to stop?
I did not see anybody in the vehicle. I don't think that the tint had any reasons for me not to be able to see in.
So it would be fair to say that you could clearly see the seating of the vehicle you attempted to stop, front, passenger, and back seat.
From the limited view that I had, I thought that I could see it.
Even though you just said that the rears were tinted.
I believe that it's the far back windows in the passenger compartment that were tinted, not the passenger windows, from my memory.
So it would be fair to say you can recall every window that was tinted on the vehicle that you attempted to stop.
I think that question's been asked and answered, Your
Grounds.
Honor. His answer should
Grounds.
stand.
Hold on, Mr. Brooks. The objection is sustained. Next question. Asked and answered.
Detective Casey, are you a party to this case in any way?
I don't understand the question.
Are you a party to this case?
I don't understand the question.
Have you filed a claim in regards to this case?
I have not.
Have you read the complaint in this case?
I've read the complaint.
Do you recall who the complaint was brought by?
The complaint is brought by the state of Wisconsin, represented by the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sue Opper.
So the state of Wisconsin then would be the plaintiff in this matter then, correct?
That is correct, the state of Wisconsin.
Do you see the state of Wisconsin present in the courtroom right now?
Yes, I do. They are represented at the prosecution table by District Attorney Sue Opper, Deputy District Attorney Leslie Basie, and Assistant District Attorney Zach Witchow.
You said represented.
Yes, sir.
Do you see the plaintiff?
The plaintiff is an entity. They are represented by the District Attorney's Office.
So the plaintiff is an entity.
Correct.
To the best of your knowledge, is an entity a human being?
An entity is an entity. It is not a human being.
To the best of your knowledge, being in law enforcement for as long as you have, would it be fair to say that an entity, which is not a human being, living person, can bring a claim against anyone?
I believe they,
Object, Your Honor, to the
Grounds.
relevance.
Grounds.
Hold on, let her get her objection out, okay?
I mean, I've tried to be patient, but these questions really have no bearing on this.
The objection is sustained on relevance grounds. Next question.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Let her get her objection out, Mr. Brooks. It's sustained on relevance grounds.
Well, I do respect, Your Honor. I think that those are valid questions to the matter.
Mr. Brooks, they've been sustained. Next question.
Just so we're clear for the record, you did hear the vehicle that you attempt to stop blow numerous times. Blow its horn.
yes, I heard the horn blowing as it was approaching my position.
Would it be fair to say that that would indicate that the vehicle was trying to alert people to its presence?
Objection calls for speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. Speculation.
Just 1 second. So would it be fair to say that the beeping of the horn was coming from the vehicle that you attempted to stop?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
It has been asked and answered. One last time. He may answer, though. Go ahead. The objection's overruled.
I believe that it was coming from the vehicle that was coming to my position, the Ford Escape.
I want to refer you again to page 15. It is from your testimony at the preliminary hearing.
With Your Honor, that's improper because Detective Casey does not have the testimony transcript in front of him.
The district
Grounds.
attorney is correct. This witness does not have the transcript in front of him.
So would that render him unable to recall what he testified to?
I don't know. You have to ask him that.
That's what I was attempting to do, Your Honor. I apologize. So just so I'm clear, am I allowed to read from this or no?
Just ask your question, Mr. Brooks.
From the best of your knowledge, do you recall stating in your testimony at the preliminary hearing that it was in fact the vehicle you attempted to stop that was blaring its horn?
Objection, that's not what the
Grounds.
transcript says.
Grounds.
And it's been asked and answered.
Sustained.
Were you injured in any way attempting to stop the vehicle?
I was not injured when I was trying to stop the vehicle.
What did you do after attempting to stop the vehicle?
I first got on my radio and advised the other units that were in the parade route that red Ford Escape had went past my position. I requested additional squads be sent 1039, which means red lights and siren. Shortly after that, I began running after the Ford Escape in an attempt to stop it. but the vehicle sped up to a speed that I couldn't keep up with it until it hit the next position.
Reading from the transcript, page 18. Do you recall us making a statement? Initially, I began, it's sort of what you just said. Initially, I began chasing after the vehicle to try to get it to stop. And as I was following behind the vehicle, I could see that it was on the north side of the roadway, at times beeping its horn. Would that be fair to say that you made that statement?
That is a fair statement.
So even after you attempted to stop the vehicle, you still observed the vehicle beeping its horn?
I heard the vehicle beeping its horn after it passed me.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Yes, just briefly. I'd like permission to put up Exhibit 120 again, Your Honor. It's already been admitted and published.
Permission granted.
Detective Casey, is Exhibit 120 on the screen now?
Yes, it is.
And you've been asked here today several questions from Mr. Brooks about what you saw as the vehicle passed you. Is that correct?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, and I do not know the person that you refer to.
Objection is noted. It's overruled.
Yes.
Is Exhibit 120, well, strike that. Do you know where on the parade route the vehicle was located when this screenshot was captured?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
Where?
Approximately the 200 block of West Main Street. The building directly opposite the Ford Escape is 234 West Main Street.
You were back at the intersection of White Rock and Main Street, correct?
Yes, I was.
So about how far was it from where you saw the red SUV with Mr. Brooks driving to where this photo was, where this video was taken, and this is a screenshot from that video, correct?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, and I do not know the individual by who you refer to.
Your objection is noted. You may answer the question.
I would say that it's approximately 0.2 of a mile for me, a very short distance.
Okay. Was the appearance virtually the same from when you saw it to when this screenshot was captured?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, it was.
Are you able to see the driver of the vehicle in this screenshot, sir?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I am.
Can you see the hair of the driver in this screenshot, sir?
You cannot see his hair.
As the vehicle went past you, back at your post on White Rock in Maine, what were you focused on?
I was focused on the driver's face when it was driving past me.
Okay. You told us on direct examination on Friday you were able to pound on the hood, correct? Were you directly in front of the vehicle at that point?
Objection. It was also, he also said in his testimony on Friday that he can identify the clothing. He specifically said what the color of the clothing was.
Attempting to testify. That's not a proper objection. As to the specific objection, it's overruled, and Attorney Opper may complete her question.
Where were you positioned when you were pounding on the hood of the SUV?
Objection.
Overruled.
And by that, I don't mean the street, I mean where on the car.
I was directly in front of the vehicle by the left front bumper.
Did you have to step out of the way to avoid being struck?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
The vehicle came in contact with me. As it was pushing through me, I shuffled my feet to the side, and then I continued down the side of the vehicle where I came directly in view with the driver's side window.
Okay. So you would have been, what was the driver doing as it passed you?
Objection. Irrelevant.
As he passed you, I should say.
Overruled.
Objection, I do not consent to being called he.
Initially, he was staring straight ahead, and as I was pounding on the driver's side window, he turned and looked directly at my face.
Okay. And the reason you were pounding on the hood and pounding on the driver's side window is what?
I was trying to get the vehicle to stop.
Did the vehicle stop?
The vehicle never stopped.
Did the driver make any effort to pull over or pull off the parade route at that spot?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
I initially chased after the vehicle, trying to get it to stop. I could see the vehicle driving until it crossed Barstow, where it first made contact with people. The vehicle sped up, and I never saw it slow down or stop until I lost view of it as it crossed Barstow Street.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. You may step down. Statement call, its next witness.
Thank you. The state would call Officer BRYCE BUTRAN.
Officer, please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
First is Bryce, B-R-Y-C-E. Last is Butran, B-U-T-R-Y-N.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, how are you currently employed?
As a police officer with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer?
Approximately 5 years.
Were you on duty on the date of November 21, 2021, sir?
Yes, I was.
And what was your duty?
I was assigned to a traffic control post for the annual holiday parade.
And what time did you start that afternoon?
I believe it was approximately 3 p.m.
Okay. And you were given a specific assignment of an area to patrol along the parade route?
Yes, I was.
Where was that location?
I was initially assigned to East Avenue at Arcadian Avenue, and I had repositioned to East Avenue and East Main Street.
Okay, I'm gonna actually ask if we could please put up Exhibit 1.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna give you a pointer, sir, if I may.
If I could have Deputy Whittick come get that from you, please.
Thank you. It's on the big screen behind you. I'm gonna have to ask you to use the pointer and just point out these locations, please. So,
Is that expandable? Does he need
Yes.
to open that up? All right, thank you.
okay, you told us first you were monitoring traffic at East Street and Arcadian Avenue, is that correct?
Yeah, so I was at East and Arcadian, which would be right here.
Okay. What was your purpose in working that location originally?
Originally, it was to prevent any northbound traffic from entering the parade route onto Main Street, so to divert any traffic from East Avenue to travel eastbound on Arcadian.
Okay. And then you said you moved up?
Correct.
Where did you go at that point?
I had repositioned my squad, which was a marked police SUV, to the intersection of Northeast Avenue and East Main Street.
When did you make that move?
From what was the parade lineup that we had, when there was approximately 10 spots left that we had thought, which was inaccurate at that time.
Okay. So as the parade was starting or
As the parade was nearing the end.
nearing the end? Okay. Okay, you can have a seat again, please, sir. When you got up to near the parade route, did you just stay in that area, sir, or
Yes, I did.
were there any other officers present in that area?
Yes, there was.
And were you just watching the parade and monitoring the people?
Correct.
At some point, did something unusual occur?
Yes.
What was that?
There was initial radio traffic of squads being dispatched to what was initially coded as a man with a knife call. There was information that there was a fight occurring in Frame Park. And then after that, there was radio traffic that there was a vehicle that was entering the parade route.
Okay. And you were near the beginning of the parade route, as you just showed us, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you heard that information about a car entering the parade route, what did you do?
Based on the information that was available at that time and previous situations that had occurred, I unholstered my firearm and stood and began walking out into the road on East Main Street,
What were you doing?
trying to get the attention of the driver to divert them off the parade route.
Okay. And how far into the road did you go?
I was initially positioned right at the intersection on the south side of Main Street. I had made my way to the north side of Main Street, and I would estimate maybe 50 feet or so from the intersection of Northeast Avenue.
Okay. Were you able to visually see the red SUV at that point?
Yes, I was.
What was it doing when you first saw it?
The vehicle was traveling on the north side of Main Street. It was honking its horn, and I estimated the speed to be traveling at approximately 25 miles per hour.
What did you do?
I had raised my left hand and was telling the vehicle to stop, and the vehicle was ignoring what I was doing.
When you say raise your left hand, can you demonstrate that for us, please?
So I placed my left hand out in front of me, indicating to the vehicle to stop.
Okay. Were you dressed in a full police uniform, sir?
Yes, I was.
Just for the record, when he raised his left hand, I would say about chest high, it was with a palm facing out as if in the stop position.
Thank you. Officer BUTRAN, as you stood in that position with your hand straight out trying to stop the car, would you say the car was off to one of your sides or directly in front of you? Could you tell us the position of the SUV?
The vehicle was directly in front of me. I would estimate my position to be where the front license plate would be on a vehicle, so right in the middle.
And what distance was the SUV away from you when you did this?
I would estimate the vehicle was approximately 200 feet or so. It came extremely close to me as it was making its way towards me.
Did you maintain that same position that you just described for us?
Yes, I did, until the vehicle was getting to the point where I believed that it was going to strike me, so I moved out of the way.
Were you saying anything?
I was saying stop to indicate to the driver that stop the vehicle.
Were you saying that in normal conversational tone, or did you raise your voice at all?
I was yelling to get the attention of the driver as it was loud outside and it was cold, so I believe the windows were going to be up on the vehicle.
Okay. And your testimony is that you stayed in the position with your left hand extended in a stop motion for about as long as you could until you felt you had to move away to avoid being struck by the SUV?
That is correct.
If the SUV was coming directly towards you, did you step to the right or the left of the SUV?
I would have stepped to the right of the SUV, which would be the driver's side of the vehicle.
Okay. Were you able to see the driver of the vehicle as it went past you?
I was able to get a general description of the driver.
What do you remember?
I remember the driver to be a male black wearing a gray or white shirt and appeared to be wearing a hat or have their hood up.
Okay. Would you say you got a good look at the driver's face?
I would say yes, I got a relatively good look at the driver's face.
Okay. Did you observe any facial hair on the driver?
At that time, I did not.
And did the car go right past you, sir?
Yes, it did.
As it went right past you, did anything obstruct your vision to see into the car?
No, it did not.
Were you able to see into the car, the SUV?
Yes, I was.
Did you see any other persons in the SUV?
I did not. There was only one sole occupant, which would be the driver of the vehicle.
As you were yelling at the SUV to stop and holding out the stop sign, did the vehicle stop?
The vehicle did not stop.
Did you see what the driver was doing as he went past you?
The driver appeared to be emotionless and was looking straight ahead, clearly ignoring anything that was to the sides of the vehicle.
Okay. Did you hear the vehicle honking its horn?
Yes, I did.
More than once?
Yes, multiple times.
As the vehicle went past you, what did you do?
I had lowered my firearm again to my side, and I attempted to grab the driver's side door with my left hand
Why'd you do that?
in order to hopefully open the door and gain the attention of the driver to get them to stop.
Are you able to estimate the speed of the vehicle as it went past you?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. He may answer.
Based on my training experience, I estimated the vehicle to be traveling at approximately 25 miles an hour at that time.
Were you able to get the door handle open?
I was not.
Did you get a hand on it?
I did not. The vehicle was traveling too fast to be able to do that.
Okay, you reached for it but missed, basically.
That's correct.
Okay. This is the area where you tried to stop the SUV. This is before Barstow, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Did you continue to watch the vehicles that went past you?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
I had watched the vehicle and I began to chase after it westbound on Main Street.
On foot?
Yes, on foot.
Were you walking or running? What were you doing?
I was running after it.
Were you saying anything at that time?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
At that point, after the vehicle had passed me, I was not saying anything. I just began chasing it.
Okay. And you were running after it.
Yes,
Were you able to catch it?
I was not. The vehicle was traveling too fast.
Can you approximate the speed of the vehicle at this location?
After the vehicle had passed me, I appeared to have begun increasing its speed. The vehicle was traveling approximately 30 to 35 miles an hour.
Did you see the red SUV strike anyone?
Not between the intersections of Northeast Avenue and Northwest Barstow Street.
How about once it crossed Barstow?
Yes.
What did you see?
Um,
You can take your time. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot of questions, so.
I observed the vehicle swerving side to side. People flying from the vehicle, items flying in the air, things like that.
Do you know, Officer BUTRAN, as you have to reflect on this in your testimony, who was being struck? Do you remember a uniform or a description of any type?
There was so many things flying at that point, I don't know what was being struck.
Okay. Now, you were trying to keep up with the vehicle, right, on foot?
Yes, I was.
To be clear, there's no squad cars chasing the defendant's vehicle, correct?
Not at that time, no.
Okay, just officers on foot trying to catch up.
That's correct.
And at any point, did you see the vehicle just pull over to the side of the road and stop?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
From the time that I could visually observe the vehicle, I did not see it stop or pull to the side of the road.
After you saw the SUV strike other human beings, did you see the driver stop, pull over, and check on those persons?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
No, I did not. The vehicle continued.
Was the driver of the SUV still honking the horn?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
From the distance that the vehicle had traveled away from me, I could not at that time hear what the vehicle was doing.
Okay. I'm going to show a couple videos to you, okay, sir? First, I'm gonna ask for exhibit number 16 to be put on preview mode. Go ahead. All right. Do you see exhibit 16 on your screen, Officer BUTRAN?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
It's on now.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Ms. Gussie to just play a few seconds so that you can make sure you're looking at the same clip that we've seen before. Okay, you can stop. For the record, about 3 seconds of the clip was played. Do you recognize this video clip, sir?
Yes, I do.
In the preview that you just observed, did you see yourself in the clip?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I'm going to ask, excuse me, do you believe this clip is a true and accurate representation of your actions on November 21 of 2021?
Yes, I do.
Move to admit and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection. We haven't seen the entire video yet. How do we know what's in the video?
The proper foundation has been laid. The objections noted. Exhibit 16 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
All right, for the record, it's a total clip of 18 seconds. I'm going to play it through once for the jury, and then we can break it down and ask you to describe further if we need to. Officer BUTRAN, is that the video, is that video consistent with the testimony you just provided about your efforts to approach the SUV and stop it?
Yes, it is.
We were not able to see on the video the part where you stood in the middle of the road with your left hand extended, correct?
That is correct.
But we did see you run from the right side of the video to the left side of the video and appear to be making your way down the north side of the street, is that correct?
That is correct.
And is that the location where you would have been when you tried to stop the vehicle?
Yes.
And then we saw you sprinting after the vehicle, correct, on foot?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to show you another exhibit 17, please. And again, we'll preview it, ask you to take a few seconds to look at it and see if you recognize it, okay? Okay, you can stop. Again, she just previewed the first 3 seconds. Officer BUTRAN, have you seen this video before, sir?
Yes, I have.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe this video is a true and accurate representation of your actions on November 21 of 2021?
Yes, I do.
Do you happen to know how this video was recorded?
Objection. It's
Or from
relevant.
what camera? You're right, it's a vague question. From what camera this video was recorded?
Objection. Relevant.
Overruled.
This was recorded from the City Waukesha Police Department squad camera.
For your squad car?
For the squad car that was operating that night, yes.
Okay. Move to admit number 17 and permission to publish.
Objection. Actually, it's 4 seconds that was played, and we still aren't clear of the relevancy of this video.
Your objections are noted. The foundation has been laid. It's relevant. Overruled. Exhibit 17 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
All right, we're going to put it up. Before we play it, I'm just going to have you set the scene here. Can you, that's a touch screen in front of you, sir. Can you circle yourself in the video? All right, and next to you, it looks like there's a person in a yellow vest that reads police. Is that correct?
Objection. We're referring to the officer giving testimony, not the officer that's present with them.
Overruled.
Yes, that is correct.
Who is that officer?
That'll be Officer SCHNEIDER.
Okay. And what's the crossroad here again, if you could just remind us?
Objection.
On the,
Relevant.
we'll start on the south side of the street.
The objection's noted, it's overruled. He may answer.
On the south side of the street where the squad is parked, that is going to be Northeast Avenue.
Okay. And on the north side of the street?
I believe that'll be Buckley Street.
Okay. So can you erase, you can clear the screen, please? Oh, clerk did it, thank you. Just kind of draw a line or point out where Buckley Street is. It's a little hard to see exactly at this moment, correct?
Correct.
You could just show the okay. And as this video plays, you can see Buckley Street a little clearer as the people move, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, please clear, thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and play this in its duration. It's 37 seconds in length. There you go.
Correct.
All right, Officer BUTRAN, again, it's not a 100% clear shot, but you can see you making your way around the front of that white pickup truck, correct?
Correct.
That was one of the entries in the parade?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then you kind of go out of view behind that white pickup truck, correct?
That is correct.
Is that the area where you encountered Mr. Brooks in the SUV?
Objection. I do not identify by that name, nor do I consent to it.
Your objection's noted, it's overruled.
That is where I had initially placed my hand out in front of me and advising the vehicle to stop.
Okay. How far down that parade route did you run, sir?
I made it all the way down to there's a tattoo parlor, I believe the address is in the 400 block of West Main Street, so almost all the way down Main Street till it makes the curve and ends.
Okay. And you were not able to catch up to the SUV, correct?
No.
But again, as you've previously testified, the SUV had not stopped anywhere along that route, correct?
Objection. I already asked this question, and it was answered already.
It's foundational, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Correct. I never observed the vehicle stop at any point that I was making my way down the route.
As you were running down the route, did you encounter people who had been struck and injured?
Objection. Already asked question.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
What do you remember about that, sir?
There were multiple casualties on both sides of the road, varying degrees of injuries to people. The only way to describe it is just pure chaos. There was people pulling at me in multiple directions trying to help people.
Did you attempt to render first aid to some people?
Initially from the area of Barstow to the area of about Clinton Street, there was still an active threat of the vehicle, so I continued to chase after that vehicle to stop the threat. And then when I made my way to Clinton Street and westbound from there, began to render aid.
Okay. At some point much later in the night, are you aware that the vehicle that was suspected to have been involved in this incident was found on Maple Street, sir?
Yes.
Did you go to that area?
Yes, I did.
Did you take a look around the area where the vehicle was located?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to determine, well, strike that. Do you remember where the vehicle was parked?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
I do not recall the address in which it was parked, but I do know the position of where the vehicle was parked, yes.
Could you just briefly describe how the vehicle was parked?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
The vehicle was backed into a driveway at a residence on Maple Street.
Okay. And do you remember looking around the area where the vehicle had traveled near the residence on Maple Street?
Yes.
Do you remember finding a hat at that location?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
I'm going to ask for Exhibit 92 to be previewed for the witness, please. Is 92 up, sir?
Yes, it is.
Do you remember seeing that item?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe this picture is a true and accurate representation of the hat that you observed in the backyard?
Yes, I do.
Move to admit 92 on permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection hearsay. How can we know for sure that that hat wasn't by somebody that lives in the building?
Mr. Brooks, you can't testify. You're attempting to do that. I'll instruct you not to. Your objection is overruled, and Exhibit 19 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
I'm sorry, it's 92, Your Honor.
Oh, 92. Thank you. Exhibit 92.
You remember seeing that hat in the backyard area, sir?
Yes, I do.
Irrelevant.
In fact, you remember asking the people at the residence if any of them own that hat?
There was one male that came out that had taken a picture and asked the rest of the residents at that location if it was any of theirs.
And did it belong to anyone at the residence?
They indicated that it did not.
Officer Buttrand, the videos that we saw, Exhibits 16 and 17, I asked you about that side road on the north side of the street, north side of Main Street, Buckley Street, correct?
That is correct.
Were there any barricades at that location, sir?
Objection hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, there were, if I remember correctly, I believe there were 3 barricades.
And did they fully block the roadway at that location?
Yes.
If Mr. Brooks had wanted to leave the parade route, would he have been able to get out at that location?
Objection. I do not consent to that name, or nor do I know any individual by that name.
Your objection's noted. You may answer the question.
Yes, it would have been a reasonable exit point.
Would there have been anything other than those plastic barricades that would have blocked his exit from the parade at that spot?
Objection hearsay.
It's not hearsay. It's overruled. You may answer.
No, the only thing that would have been struck was the plastic barricade.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions, sir.
You may ask this witness questions, Mr. Brooks.
Yes. Officer, is it BUTRAN?
Correct.
Good morning, officer. You stated that you had got, or you heard a radio call about a knife fight in Frame Park.
That is correct.
Did you ever at any time follow up or go to Frame Park to investigate the said knife fight?
No, I did not.
Did you learn any initial information about the said fight?
No, I did not.
Do you know who reported the knife fight?
No, I do not.
So you also stated that you heard the vehicle that was approaching honking its horn multiple times. Is that correct?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, what would be a reason that someone operating a motor vehicle will honk their horn?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled. You may answer.
There are multiple reasons why a vehicle would do that.
Can you give any specific reason?
To alert people or vehicles in the area that there's a vehicle coming.
And you also stated that you didn't see anyone struck when while the vehicle was approaching you?
Between the area that I observed the vehicle and Northwest Barstow Street, I did not see anybody struck, no.
Would it be fair to say that you also didn't see the vehicle target anyone?
Objection, speculation.
Calls for speculation on the part of the witness. So it's sustained. You can rephrase your question.
Did
The
you
way it was
see,
asked calls for speculation.
while the vehicle was approaching you, you stated that you saw it maybe 200 feet away, I think is what you said. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Did you see the vehicle actively targeting anyone to strike them?
Same objection.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What would you estimate the population was right at what was shown on the video? Was it hundreds of people, dozens of people, right in the general area that you were?
I would estimate there's probably several hundred people in that area.
And you saw no one struck?
Objection, vague.
Can you rephrase, please, just to be specific?
Out of the hundreds of people that were in your general area, you didn't witness anyone being struck by the vehicle?
Not initially.
You also stated that there were barricades in the general area that you were?
Yes.
Were they off to the side? Were they in front of you? Where were the barricades located?
They would have been located on Buckley Street and on Northeast Avenue.
Would it be fair to say that those were the side streets coming into the main street?
Yes.
So would it be fair to say that a vehicle that was on the parade route would have to go down one of those side streets that was barricaded off to exit the parade route?
Yes.
And from your perspective, would a vehicle that was on a parade route know that they can exit from those areas that were barricaded?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Were you injured in any way by the vehicle?
No.
And in the video was pretty short video. Would it be fair to say that the vehicle passed you relatively quickly?
Yes.
And you were able to get a look at the operator of the vehicle as quickly as it passed you?
Yes.
Did you notice any tinting to any of the windows on the vehicle?
No.
So you were able to see inside of the vehicle pretty clearly.
Yes.
Did you get a description of what the operator of the vehicle was wearing?
Yes.
You stated that the operator of the vehicle was wearing a hat. Would that be fair to say?
The operator of the vehicle appeared to be wearing a hat or have their hood up.
If you got a clear description of the operator of the vehicle, wouldn't you know if it was a hat or a hood?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained, rephrase your question.
Would the vehicle had been moving too fast for you to clearly see if the driver had anything on their head?
No.
About how fast would you estimate that the vehicle was traveling when it passed you?
Approximately 25 miles per hour.
About how fast would you estimate the vehicle was traveling when it was approaching you?
Approximately 25 miles per hour.
Were you able to hear the vehicle honking before it approached you or when it came upon you?
I was able to hear the vehicle honking before it approached me.
Did you hear the vehicle honk after it had passed you or came in contact with you?
No, I did not.
Would it be fair to say that the video shows that you can clearly let me rephrase that. Would it be fair to say that the video that was shown, you can clearly hear the vehicle honking?
No.
Can we play the video again for the witness?
You want it? Which one? Which video?
Exhibit 17.
The squad video? That's the one you're requesting, the squad video?
Exhibit 17.
All right, permission
Whatever
to
is
publish
exhibit.
and show is granted.
Pause it right there. So at the time, we see you running over to where this white, I think that's a pickup truck. Is that you?
Yes.
At that time, had you heard the vehicle honking?
I don't recall.
What prompted you to move so quickly to jog towards the area that you were jogging to?
The radio traffic that I had heard.
So at that time, did you see a vehicle approaching? Wait, I still want to play that. At that time, did you see a vehicle approaching?
From my position here, I don't know exactly when I had observed the vehicle.
Continue playing. pause right there. Would it be fair to say that that was not just a horn that was heard honking after the vehicle was past you?
I did not hear a horn, no.
Wind it back.
For the record, Your Honor, the first time Mr. Brooks asked for the video to be paused, it was 22 seconds. The second time, it was about 39 seconds. We're now going back to about the 30-second mark.
Objection, there isn't 39 seconds in the video. It stops at 37, so how could it be 39?
I'm sorry. You're absolutely right, sir. 29. I thought you said 39.
I can hear a horn.
Sir, you can't testify, so you can ask a question of this witness, we'll watch it again,
When,
but at
Let
some
me ask
point
you-
you can't argue with
let
him.
me ask this question. When did you observe or hear the vehicle honking? At which part in this video?
At no point in this video do I hear the horn honking.
But you did in fact hear the vehicle honking.
Yes.
Do you remember what you were generally doing when you heard the vehicle honking?
Making my way to the north side of Main Street to get the vehicle to stop.
So that would be when you were sprinting over to the white pickup truck.
Correct.
That's when you heard the vehicle honking.
Sometime in between there, yes.
And you heard it multiple times.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, a honking horn from a vehicle would indicate trying to alert people to its presence, correct?
There are several reasons why a vehicle would honk the horn.
Would you honk your vehicle to alert people to your presence?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
It's not relevant, sustained.
You said there would be multiple reasons that a vehicle will honk its horn. Would it be fair to say that one of those reasons would be to alert?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled, he may answer it. You may finish your question, but
Would it be fair to ask that that would be to alert the many people that we can see in this video right now to the presence of the vehicle approaching?
Yes.
Officer BUTRAN, I see you in a uniform today. Would it be fair to ask that you would be on duty right now if not called to testify?
hold on, Mr. Brooks, before we move on to a next topic, you had asked it to be paused. I trust you don't want anything further from this video published to the jury at this time.
No, not at this time.
All right, Madam Clerk may take it down. My apologies for the interruption.
That's okay.
Go ahead, ask your question again.
Would it be fair to say that if you weren't here to testify this morning, you would be on duty?
No, I would not be.
So this would be an off day?
I'm currently on vacation, yes.
Do you normally wear your uniform on vacation?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
He may answer.
Only if I have something related to police activity or duty.
Do you feel that it was necessary to wear your uniform in court today?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative.
Sustained. Next question.
Are you a party to this matter in any way?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. It's not relevant.
Do you have a claim in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you read the complaint in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Not relevant. Sustained.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Can you testify on who called you to testify? Who subpoenaed you to testify here this morning?
I believe it was the state of Wisconsin.
So the state of Wisconsin would be the plaintiff in this matter, to your knowledge?
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
This question is irrelevant.
Sustained. It's not relevant, sir. Sustained. Next
I think it
question.
holds relevant who called him to testify.
He already answered.
So you've had interactions with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant and vague.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Can you testify if the state of Wisconsin is a living human being or an entity?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained.
So you in fact don't have a claim in this matter, correct?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
You are aware that all police departments are funded by the state of Wisconsin, are you not?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
And inaccurate.
Grounds.
Sustained.
If that's an inaccurate statement, then who pays you?
Objection to
Grounds.
relevance.
Overruled. He may answer. I assume you mean who pays him his salary.
Correct.
He may answer.
Be the city of Waukesha.
Is the city of Waukesha in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
Is the city of Waukesha the plaintiff in this case?
No.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this case? in this
Objection.
matter? Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
So to the best of your knowledge, you've never even had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, under 906.11, if you need to move on to a new topic of cross-exam, otherwise I will declare the cross-exam opportunity closed.
At any time when the vehicle passed you, did you hear the vehicle honk?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Is it fair to say that in the video clip that we were just shown, no one was struck?
Correct.
Would it also be fair to say that in the video we just saw, the vehicle did not attempt to strike anyone?
Objection. Speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. Calls for speculation on the part of the vehicle operator.
We can clearly see in the video that no one was attempted to be struck. How is that not relevant?
The jury will disregard the last statement made by Mr. Brooks as he may not testify at this point in time. Next question, please.
Just for the record, I don't consent to being called that name, Your Honor.
Next question, please.
Is it fair to say that by the video footage, and to the best of your knowledge, no one was struck before the vehicle approached your presence?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained. Next question.
I didn't answer the question.
The witness did.
To the best of your knowledge, at that point where you observed the vehicle, to your knowledge, no one had been struck at that point?
Correct.
And for the record, you have no filed claim in this matter whatsoever.
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Were you injured in any way during this matter?
No.
No further questions.
You redirect.
Just very briefly, if you could please, Madam Clerk, put back up number 17. And as it's being displayed right now, we are paused at the 33-second mark. Officer BUTRAN, can you clearly see north on Buckley Street from this vantage point, sir?
Yes, I can.
You see one plastic barricade obstructing travel to go northbound on Buckley Street at that location, sir?
Objection. You can clearly see officers there too.
Jury will disregard at least the attempt to testify by Mr. Brooks. Your objection is noted, it's overruled. He may answer the question.
Yes, there's at least one barricade visible there.
Okay. And I am going to ask the exhibit be replayed in its entirety with no one talking so we can all listen to hear if the horn is honking. So, Ms. Gussie, please play it again from the beginning.
Permission granted.
Thank you. Exhibit 17 has been played in full. Officer BUTRAN, at any point were you able to hear the horn honking in that video, sir?
No, I was not.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you. You may step down. All right, this will be a good stopping point for our mid-morning break. We'll take a 15-minute break. All rise for the jury, please. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll be back in 15 minutes. We are in recess. All right, then we are back on. The record appearances are as they were before. State may call its next, well, actually, we'll bring the jury in and then you may call its next witness. Seem to like to want to do that these days. All right, have the jury brought back out, please.
I'll state very briefly for the record, Your Honor, that we still have yet to address the subject matter jurisdiction. Would that be addressed at some point?
Mr. Brooks, that's a frivolous matter. We've already addressed that. I direct your attention to the Beneby decision, United States versus Beneby, found at 654 F 3rd 753. So I have addressed it.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor? If you want to address the subject matter jurisdiction?
The record stands, Mr. Brooks.
Would a verified statement of particulars by affidavit be addressed, Your Honor?
All rise.
That a tacit agreement, Your Honor?
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Attorney Upper, the state may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state will call Officer Schneider.
Officer, if you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Okay. My name is Sonia Schneider. Sonia is Sonia. Schneider is Schneider.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Officer Schneider, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you worked in law enforcement?
A little over 3 years now.
And were you working on the date of November 20, 2021? I'm sorry, November 21, 2021.
I was.
What were your duties that day?
My duties were to secure the parade route and then provide traffic and pedestrian control.
Were you assigned to a specific location?
Yes, I was to be the intersection of East Main Street and Northeast Avenue.
And was that your post throughout the entire event?
It was.
Do you remember about what time you arrived at that location?
I believe it was around 3 p.m.
Okay. And when you got there, what were your responsibilities? Or what did you do?
We closed down traffic from Buckley to Northeast and put up barricades.
Okay. And were you dressed in a police uniform that day?
I was dressed as I am right now.
And did you also have on a fluorescent vest?
I did.
Okay. And that lettering on that vest read police?
Yes.
Okay. At some point during the parade, was your attention drawn to a vehicle described as a red SUV?
It was.
How was your attention drawn to that vehicle?
Well, initially, we heard a call come out in the area of Frame Park about a potential man-knife fight. And then shortly after, I heard radio traffic about a vehicle going through the barricades or past the barricades.
What action, if any, did you take?
I was standing next to Officer BUTRAN. He began to move forward, and as I observed the red SUV coming towards Officer BUTRAN and not stopping, I ran forward to also try to intercept the vehicle.
What did you do?
I positioned myself right in front of the SUV for about a moment and tried to direct the vehicle off to Buckley, which would be to the right of the roadway.
Okay. And you said you positioned yourself right in front of the vehicle, is that right?
Yes.
So did you go out into the roadway itself?
I stood directly in the path of the SUV, which
Okay.
was the entire right lane or north side of the street.
Okay. And did you say anything or gesture in any fashion to the vehicle?
I was just gesturing with my hands to try to get the driver to observe me in the street.
All right. Do you remember saying anything?
Sorry, just
Yes.
for the record, the witness has put both of her hands up with the palms facing out about between waist high and chest high in a stop motion. Go ahead.
Do you remember saying anything?
I don't recall saying anything.
Now, you said your intention was to try and direct the vehicle off onto Buckley Street.
It was.
Was that a possibility from where the vehicle was located when you first saw it?
It was. The vehicle had time to slow down and make that turn.
Okay. And you said you were facing the vehicle head on, correct?
I was, I believe, if not exactly head on, at least, to the side where most of the front of my body would be facing it.
Okay. So you could see it coming, in other words.
Very clearly.
And you could see, because you were able to face the vehicle head on, you were able to see that at some point you needed to step out of the way so you yourself were not struck. Is that fair to say?
Objection. Being the witness.
Sustained, please rephrase.
As you stood in the middle of the road facing the vehicle, did you stay in that position, officer?
I did not. I was very concerned the car was going to hit me.
So what did you do?
I jumped out of the way.
Did you make any efforts to interact with the vehicle in any way?
I believe that I had hit out at the car.
Okay. Were you able to see the driver of the car?
I was.
What did you observe about the driver of the car?
It looked to be an African American male with brown eyes and brown hair.
Did the driver of the SUV react to your presence in any way?
When I observed the driver, he had no expression on his face and he was looking straight ahead as if he was looking straight through me.
And that never changed?
No.
Did the driver of the SUV follow your direction and leave the parade route at Buckley?
No, he did not. As a matter of fact, he appeared to speed up.
Are you able to estimate speeds at this location?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
I would estimate the speed to be anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Were you able to see how many people were inside the SUV as it went by you?
I couldn't see the back seat clearly, but I observed only one person in the front of the vehicle.
Okay. And that was the driver, correct?
Correct.
That you just described for us earlier.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you an item that's been marked and received as Exhibit 17. And we'll put it up on the screen in front of you first so you can take a look at it, see if you recognize it. So, for the record, we've played about the first 5 seconds or 6 seconds of the video. Do you recognize this video, Officer Schneider?
I do.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes.
And do you believe this is a true and accurate representation of your actions on that day?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish 17, Your Honor?
Permission granted, it's previously been received.
So if you could please point out for the jury your location in Exhibit 17. You can circle on the screen if you wanted to touch screen.
This is me.
And next to you?
That's
To your
Officer.
right?
That's Officer BUTRAN. to my
Okay.
right.
At this point, what are you and Officer BUTRAN doing?
We were again providing that traffic and pedestrian control for the intersection.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and play this clip. It's 37 seconds long, and we'll just play it through, and then we can stop and ask questions if we need to, okay?
And you also say in some ways that it's got even more evidence behind it. So let me ask you this. Who needs collagen and what exactly is it good for? Well, first of all, let's take a quick peek at what a coenzyme is. A coenzyme is any substance in the body that's
There's a car going westbound,
which a chemical reaction
the brake goes on, a red,
respects.
my escape, last meal, I couldn't stop, it's going westbound, going hard.
The key word, the energy that supplies your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidney.
Officer Schneider, is that consistent with your recollection of the events?
It is.
I saw in Exhibit 17 at one point you appeared to leave your post on the south side of the road and run into the road. Is that what happened?
Correct.
And the vehicle went past you then?
It did.
The excuse me, at that point, Officer Schneider, did you hear the vehicle honking its horn at all?
I never heard any honking.
Never at any point?
Never at any point.
Okay. I'd also like to show exhibit number 18, so same thing, we're going to preview it for you first before we show it for the jury, okay? So for the record, we've shown about the first 2 or 3 seconds of that clip to Officer Schneider. Officer Schneider, is exhibit 18 a true and accurate representation of your actions involving the red SUV on 11/21 of 21?
It is.
Move to admit and permission to publish 18.
Any position, Mr. Brooks?
Objection. What's the relevancy of the video?
The objection is noted, it's overruled, and Exhibit 18 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Just 1 second. I want to see the counter in the corner. Can you close that? Noted. Thank you. So for the record, this clip is 11 seconds in length. Officer Schneider, can you see yourself in this video at this point?
Yes.
Can you please circle yourself so the jury knows what to watch for?
Oh, right over there.
Okay. And please clear the screen. All right, we're going to play this video in its entirety now.
Oh my God!
What the?
Come here!
Again, is that the moment where you ran up to the SUV and tried to stop it?
It was.
Okay. After the SUV had gone by you, at some point were you aware that individuals further down to your west had been struck by the SUV?
Yeah, there was what I would call screaming on the radio.
Police radio.
Correct.
Okay. And you didn't see the SUV actually strike anybody, correct?
I did not see that.
When you heard the screaming and heard of the report of problems to your west, what did you do?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Initially, I was just trying to, I didn't know if there was going to be another vehicle coming because we didn't know what was going on. So I was trying to get people out of the roadway, and as soon as I heard the screaming on the radio, I began making my way downtown.
Did you encounter any people with injuries?
I did. I was stopped by numerous people who said that their children had potentially been nicked. The worst one was a adolescent female that was laying in the road with her family around her.
Do you know the first name of that adolescent female?
Jesselyn.
irrelevant.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, your answer may have been blocked by Mr. Brooks' objections. Please repeat it.
Objection. I do not consent to that name, nor am I that person.
Noted. You may answer.
Jesselyn.
Do you know which group or unit in the parade she was with?
She was in a dance squad.
Okay. Did you attempt to render aid to Jesselyn?
I did.
Were her injuries significant?
They were.
At some point, did you go further westbound on Main Street and try and tend to more individuals?
I walked towards the direction of Mountaintop Coffee, and I was directed to stand guard over one of the deceased.
Do you know the name of that person?
I believed it was Virginia, but I learned later that she was misidentified.
Okay. Who was it that you were standing guard over?
Overruled.
I never inquired the true name of the individual that I ended up being by.
Could you tell which group or unit in the parade that deceased person was associated with?
Overruled.
She was one of the dancing grannies.
And what would be the purpose in having you stand by with a person who had suffered fatal injuries?
To preserve the scene and relieve a community service officer who was standing there initially.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Officer Schneider. I don't have any questions beyond that.
Thank you. Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Officer Schneider. It would be fair to say from the video footage that was shown that you were standing directly next to Officer BUTRAN. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For any reason, would you have, being that you were so close next to him, not heard the same things that he heard?
Objection, I think that calls for
Grounds.
speculation.
Grounds.
Calls for speculation. It's sustained. Next question.
How long before you saw the approaching vehicle?
I heard radio traffic about it going past the barricades, and I would say it was a couple seconds later that we saw it coming down the street.
Did you observe anyone being struck at that time?
I did not.
Did you observe anyone being struck after the vehicle passed you?
I did not.
Would it be fair to say from the video footage that was shown that the vehicle passed you in maybe a second, if that?
A second to 2 seconds, yes.
Do you think that would be enough time to get a clear description of who was driving the vehicle?
Yes, I do,
And why do you believe that?
because I saw the driver very clearly.
You saw the driver very clearly in 1 second.
Yes, sir.
And do you recall if the driver had hair?
I do.
Do you recall if the driver was wearing a hat?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall anything that the driver may have been wearing?
No, I don't.
Do you recall seeing anyone in the back seat?
I couldn't see the back seat from my position.
Why could you not see the back seat?
Because there's front seats in the way.
Were there any tinting to the vehicle that you saw?
Not that I saw.
So you saw no tinted windows at all on the vehicle?
I do not recall seeing tinted windows.
Would it be fair to say from the video that there was a barricade set up at the cross street of Buckley?
Yes.
Would it be also fair to say that you couldn't turn down Buckley Street because of the barricade?
The street was barricaded.
Could you make a turn down the street that was barricaded?
You could make a turn, but it was barricaded.
How can you make a turn on a barricaded street? How would you be able to do that?
If a vehicle were to slow down, the barricade could be moved.
So a vehicle would actually have to stop and then make the turn.
That's correct.
Were there any law enforcement officers posted at the barricade?
On that side of the street near Buckley, we had a reserve officer, I believe.
Do you recall if any one of those officers or officer attempted to stop the vehicle?
I couldn't tell you about that.
Was there any report of the officer that was standing at that barricade to stop the vehicle?
Again, I couldn't tell you about that.
So to the best of your knowledge, only you and Officer BUTRAN attempted to stop the vehicle?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And there were other officers present?
The other individual who was present is not a sworn patrol officer.
Were they law enforcement?
No, they're considered a reserve officer.
Were they wearing any gear that may have identified them as an officer?
I don't recall what that officer or that reserve officer was wearing.
Can we show Exit 17 again? Or Exhibit 17?
You want it published or just shown to the witness?
I want it shown to the witness.
Permission granted.
Actually, can we show it to the whole court?
Permission granted, it's been received.
Well, before you play it, can you pause it? Before you play it, would it be fair to say that at that intersection that has the red light facing towards the camera, that there is, in fact, someone who appears to be law enforcement standing right there?
Objection vague.
Sustained.
Grounds. Can you,
Rephrase.
would it be fair to say that someone standing at that intersection that appears to be wearing the same police vest attire that you are wearing?
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Your Honor, Mr. Brooks can use the touch screen on his monitor as well, correct?
Correct. I'm gonna overrule the objection. I think what he was asking is clear enough, so you may answer.
There is an individual on the Buckley side of the intersection wearing a high-res traffic vest.
Is it similar in any way to the vest that you are wearing?
It appears to be so, yes.
So would it be fair to say that the appearance of them wearing the same attire as you, that they would be easily identified as law enforcement?
I would go so far as to say that they would be at least highly visible to people, yes.
Would someone who's not in the law enforcement field possibly for any reason mistake them as law enforcement?
Possibly, yes.
Can you play it just for just a couple of seconds so we can get a clear look at the individual that I'm referring to?
Exactly how many seconds, Mr. Brooks?
I don't consent to being called that name, but 2, maybe 2 or 3 seconds.
Then pause at the 3-second mark, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Can you go back a second?
Judge, it's not possible to jump back in
1
1
second.
second increments.
Go back to the beginning, please.
Right there.
Ask your question.
Do you know that individual right there?
I don't recall who that was, no.
Did you see them at any time attempt to stop the vehicle or redirect the vehicle?
I did not observe that myself, no.
You can take the exhibit down.
You're done with this exhibit?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You can take it down, madam.
Can you put up exhibit 18 for the court?
You just want this presented, not played at this moment? I'm just confirming with you.
I'm probably gonna play it too
We'll get it up first.
for the entire court.
For the record, exhibit 18 is on the screens. Do you want it played, Mr. Brooks? Or do you have a question at this
Yeah,
point?
I want it played, Your Honor, if I may.
The whole thing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, permission granted.
Pause it right there. Would it be fair to say that that was just a horn that was heard?
No, I don't hear a horn.
You don't hear a horn.
I do not hear a horn.
Can we start that from the beginning?
Sure.
For the record, Mr. Brooks.
When did you have the
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, Your Honor, nor do I identify by that name.
The defendant has asked the video to be stopped. It was stopped at 4 seconds in. He's requested that it be replayed. Are you going to have the whole thing replayed, or do you want it stopped again at 4 seconds?
Maybe around this same point.
I'll wait till you say stop then.
Okay.
We'll make a record of it. Go ahead.
Oh my God!
Pause it. Would it be fair to say that that was not just a horn that was heard on this video?
I will stick with my original answer on that.
So your original answer would be that you did not just hear a horn on this video that was being played.
That's correct.
And for the record, it was stopped at 6 seconds.
So would it be any reason that anyone else would have heard a horn?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Sustained calls for speculation on the part of this witness.
Did you at any time get a chance to read the report by Officer BUTRAN, who was standing right next to you during this event?
I did not read his report.
Did you have any conversation with him about what he may have observed or heard that evening?
Can you clarify what you mean?
Did you have any conversation with Officer BUTRAN about what he may have observed or heard on that evening?
I believe that the evening that later, after everything had calmed down, we had talked for a little bit.
Did he state to you that he had heard a horn beeping at any time during your conversation?
Objection, hearsay, move to strike
Grounds.
question.
Grounds.
Oh. Sustained calls for hearsay.
Do you recall what the conversation was about when you talked that evening?
I can't recall specifics, no.
Did you in any way talk about what had happened that evening at the parade?
Yeah, it would be about the parade, but I can't, again, tell you specifics of what we talked about.
You don't recall?
I've already answered that.
But you're sure that you had some talks about what you may have seen?
Objection, repetitive.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained. Next question, please.
Just so we're clear for the record, From your recollection, would it be fair to say that Officer BUTRAN saw the approaching vehicle before you did?
Objection.
Grounds.
Speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. It calls for speculation on the part of this witness. Next question.
At what point did you see the vehicle? Once it was past Officer BUTRAN or before it had passed him?
I saw the vehicle coming from the White Rock location, so it was before the vehicle had even approached Officer BUTRAN's location.
Any reason why you didn't move to attempt to stop the vehicle when Officer BUTRAN did?
Yes, we oftentimes in our line of work have people, meaning no ill will, just disregard police barricades and other things. So initially I didn't know if the vehicle was being driven by somebody that was just simply distracted or lost or senile. I had no idea.
So it would be fair to say that at the time you had no idea what was going on with the vehicle and why it was there.
At the time, what I knew was that someone had radioed that a car had disregarded our barricades to keep the parade route closed off.
And you heard this on the radio, correct?
On police radio, yes.
So did you hear a car or did you hear an SUV?
I don't recall the exact words that were used. It was a vehicle.
Would it be fair to say that you just said that you heard a car over the radio?
I don't recall the exact words.
Would it be fair to say that it is extremely hard to compare a car with an SUV?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Would you ever mistake a car in an SUV?
Objection. Argumentative.
Overruled. She may answer.
I think I'm pretty good at knowing the difference.
So when you heard the radio call, were you expecting a car or SUV?
I was expecting a vehicle, red in color, to be coming my direction.
Would it be fair to say that you, before, didn't state the color of the vehicle that you were expecting?
I think the question's vague, Your Honor,
Objection.
as to
Grounds.
when she may or may
Grounds.
not.
Mr. Brooks, hold on. Let her state the objection.
Question's vague as to when she may or may not have indicated the color of the car, Your Honor.
Grounds.
I'll sustain the objection. Please rephrase. It's sustained as to the form of the question.
At any time during the radio report, was there any report of the color of the vehicle, as you say, in the report that you heard over the radio?
The exact color of the vehicle over the radio, I do not recall hearing. I know that I saw a red SUV coming from White Rock.
Would it be fair to say that you heard the radio call before you saw the vehicle?
Absolutely, I heard it before I saw it.
So would it be fair to say that you couldn't have known what the color of the vehicle would be and what vehicle was being referred to?
There was only one vehicle on the parade route, from what I saw.
Were there any radio reports that the vehicle had struck anyone at that time that you heard?
No, I didn't hear anyone say that the vehicle had struck anyone.
Was there any reports at that time over the radio that you heard of a description of who may have been driving the vehicle?
No, I don't recall a description coming out over the radio prior to me seeing the vehicle come across my path.
So would it be fair to say that the radio report was pretty vague?
Objection argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Were there any reports that you know of, rather by radio or from people who were present in your area that you were, that they may have heard honking from the vehicle that approached?
Objection speculation.
Grounds.
Overruled. The way it was phrased, he asked if she had any information, so she may answer.
I don't have any information about honking.
Can you recall about what time you saw the approaching vehicle?
I don't know the exact time, no.
Were you injured in any way by the vehicle?
I was not injured.
So it would be fair to say that you haven't filed a claim in this matter, correct?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
I have not filed a claim for this.
So it would be also fair to state that you are not an injured party in this matter, correct?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Could you state for the record who subpoenaed you to testify in this matter today?
The state?
And when you say the state, who are you referring to exactly?
The state of Wisconsin?
To the best of your knowledge, being in law enforcement for some time, have you ever had any interaction with the state whatsoever?
Objection
Grounds.
irrelevant. Vague.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Did you physically talk to the state about testifying here this morning?
Objection
Grounds.
vague and irrelevant.
Grounds.
Do you mean to ask her if she spoke with the DA's office?
Did she speak to the plaintiff?
Sustained. Next question.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Have you read the complaint in this matter? To your recollection?
I have, I believe I've skimmed it over. I haven't read it in its entirety.
Would it be any reason why you didn't read the complaint in its entirety?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Did you have any idea that you may be called to testify in this matter?
I did see it as a possibility, yes.
So it'd be fair to say that if you knew that it was a possibility that you may be called to testify, would it be fair to say that it would be best to acquire all the knowledge that you can acquire before testifying?
Objection argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware that all police departments are funded by the state of Wisconsin?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
If you weren't testifying here this morning, would you be on duty?
Yes, I would be.
Is that why you came in uniform?
Yes, it is.
So it'd be fair to say that right now you're on the clock.
Yes, I am.
Being paid by whom?
By the city of Waukesha.
Is the city of Waukesha in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes, it is.
And Who funds the Waukesha Police Department?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
During your attempt to stop the vehicle, do you recall the vehicle trying to strike anyone?
I did not see the vehicle deviating in any way, no.
Do you recall it trying to strike anyone?
I think it's asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
By you saying that you didn't see the vehicle deviate, can you clarify for the record what that means, in your opinion?
When I saw the vehicle coming towards my direction, it was driving in a straight line.
So would it be fair to say that that does not clarify what you mean by deviate?
Objection.
It's argumentative. Sustained.
To the best, as far as you recall, you didn't see or hear that the vehicle has struck anyone. That be fair to say?
That's been asked and answered, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Do you know of any cross streets before you attempted to stop the vehicle that may have been barricaded?
We had barricades up in the area of White Rock Avenue. I wasn't up there at any point in time, so I couldn't give you the exact location of every barricade.
But you do know that there were pretty much barricades throughout the parade route. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, we needed to secure it.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before it came to the area that you were in?
Well, I personally observed Officer BUTRAN attempt to stop the vehicle.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before the vehicle approached your area?
Based on the radio traffic I heard, it sounded like officers had attempted at that time, but I didn't see it, so I couldn't say for certain.
So it would be fair to say that you don't recall?
Objection. That's
Grounds.
not fair to say, Your Honor. It's
Grounds.
a misstatement of her testimony.
Grounds.
Sustained. It mischaracterizes the testimony.
So to the best of your knowledge, Officer BUTRAN was the first person that you observed attempting to stop the vehicle,
That's correct.
and then yourself,
That is correct.
with no injuries.
Can you clarify, please?
You, Officer BUTRAN, or you were not injured in your attempt to stop the vehicle.
I believe that's correct.
You believe that was correct?
I don't recall BUTRAN complaining of any injuries, so I couldn't say for certain.
Were you yourself injured?
I have already answered that.
You stated that you skimmed through the complaint for this matter. Would that be fair to say?
Objection asked and answered. We need to move on to a new topic, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained, it's been asked and answered. Need a new topic,
What-
Mr. Brooks, under 90611. I'm directing you to move on.
I'm just trying to find out what would be the reason not to read the whole complaint. That's all.
Completely irrelevant, Your Honor.
So, grounds.
There's no question.
Did you hear of any incident at Frame Park?
Objection asked and answered.
I didn't ask this witness.
Overruled, she may answer.
I did answer that earlier in my testimony.
You may answer it again,
Okay.
please.
I heard that there was a man knife call, is how it came out, potentially in Frame Park.
At any point that evening, did you follow up on that report?
I did not.
Do you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know if, are you aware of any officer following up on that report?
The officers that were dispatched to that call, of which I don't recall who they were, would have been in charge of that.
Did you learn any information about a knife being found?
I did not.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall any domestic dispute coming over the radio?
At what point in time?
The evening during the parade, November 21st.
I don't recall specifically the terms domestic being used over the radio in any way, no.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall a vehicle being found on Maple Street?
Yes, I do recall.
Did you respond there directly, or do you know if, well, let me take that back. Did you respond there directly?
No, I did not.
Do you recall what that report was saying over the radio?
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question. It's also beyond the scope of the direct exam. Unless you have information she was involved in that. Mr. Brooks, move on.
And what would you estimate the speed was of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
I don't recall asking the speed.
This witness has answered about speed multiple times, but if you want her to state it again, overruled. You may answer.
I said approximately 30 to 40 miles per hour.
To the best of your knowledge, would there be any reason why an officer standing right next to you would not estimate it at that speed?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
It's argumentative and it calls for speculation on the part of this witness, so it's sustained.
Do you know of any officers that was in your vicinity that gave a speed estimate of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
No more further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Very briefly, Officer Schneider, on cross-examination, you told Mr. Brooks that you saw the driver of the vehicle quite clearly. Do you remember that?
Objection, I do not consent to being called that name, and I would respectfully ask not to be identified with an unknown individual.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Go ahead, Attorney Hoffman.
Do you see the driver of the red SUV in the courtroom here today, Officer Schneider?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. She may answer.
I'd ask Mr. Brooks be directed to remove his mask so that Officer Schneider can identify him, please.
Objection, I never heard an answer to the question.
It has not been answered. Mr. Brooks, please remove your mask. Thank you.
Officer Schneider, is the driver of the red SUV that you've just described for this jury present in this courtroom today?
Objection,
Yes.
hearsay.
Can you please point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He is seated over here at the table wearing a gray suit.
That's the man you saw driving the red SUV as it sped past you?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
On the issue of identification only, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. You did state that you saw the driver of the vehicle and the driver had hair, and you stated brown eyes and brown hair, correct?
That is what I said.
You also stated that you can see somewhat what they was wearing by a hat, or
That's incorrect. I did not say that.
so you were able to see the driver of the vehicle's entire head?
I was able to see hair, which is what I have said previously.
Would it be fair to say that the alleged defendant that you just identified on the record for the court does not have hair?
You have shaved your head. Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you have not seen the alleged defendant shave his head?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer. I presume you mean the act of.
The act of.
I have not witnessed him actively shaving his head.
So would it be fair to say that, to the best of your knowledge, you do not know, in fact, if the alleged defendant shaved his head?
I am looking at the individual who was driving the SUV, and he now has a shaved head.
That doesn't answer the question.
It does. Next question.
And you stated eye color, correct?
Yes.
Can you see the alleged defendant's eye color from where you are sitting?
I cannot.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
May this witness be excused, Your Honor?
She may.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to take our lunch break now. I have information that the lunch for the jurors will be up in about 10 minutes. So rather than start a witness, just to take a break around that time, we'll take our lunch now. It will be at least an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, but I'd ask the parties be back in an hour. And then also advise the jury and Mike and Pete what time I need them back. All right, thank you, everyone. I'll rise for the jury. right, thank you. We are in recess. Let's have the parties back at 12:35. We can address any issues outside the presence of the jury if need be. Otherwise, be prepared for your next witness from the state. Thank you, everyone.